Hi, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for being here on the webinar today. My name is Lisa Bateman.
Hi, and this is James Fouch.
And together we'll be walking you through both the Discipline Incidents collection and the Restraints Exclusion collection. Please use the chat box for questions so we can be sure to capture and address all questions as they arise. Today we'll be discussing collection specifics for successful data submission for both collections, as well as a sneak preview of upcoming improvements and changes for the 2020 submission. So today we're going to talk about Discipline Incidents collection, the Restraints Exclusion collection, and then upcoming preview of changes. Today's webinar is available at the following web location. As you navigate both collections, if you have any questions, please reach out to either one of us for assistance in timely submission of data for the collection. Also know that we'll both be reaching out to districts during the collection window to assist and support in successful completion of both collections. Our goal is for this process to go smoothly without undue burden, and we look forward to working with you to assure data reporting success. So if we call you, do be expecting it, and we're excited to be working with you to make this go as smoothly as possible. The Discipline Incidences collection opens on May 23rd and stays open through July 1st, 2019 at midnight. Please note this window to ensure data is submitted on time. Also know that any issues or errors within the data set can be corrected during the validation period, which opens on August 22nd and stays open through September 16th. Please note that all corrections must be made during this validation period, and do make note of these important timelines. Here's a link to the collection manual. Do refer to the manual, as it will unpack with specificity topics such as the unsafe school choice option, definitions used in the collection, discipline incidents collection format, the verification report, as well as frequently asked questions, the file layout, and any collection lookup tables. Please note that the Discipline Incidences collection is a student-level collection, not an institution-level collection, and therefore the collection counts all removals, not all referrals. Therefore, all suspensions, both in school and out of school, expulsions, truancy events, and removals to alternative settings must be reported. Suspensions, expulsions, and removals are entered for all students in the population, both general and special education, and they are entered into the collection. Also note that the collection is for a single school year, so students who receive disciplinary action that extends beyond the current school year are reported and counted only in this school year.
Relevant documents for the Discipline Incidences collection can be found at the Schedule of Due Dates page on the district website. Please remember that your submission is not final until all errors are fixed. And the ODE will audit the data submitted and then reopen the collection for districts to address our audit findings during the review window. Here you can see the consolidated collection status tracking screen. District level staff are required to verify that all data submitted by the district and schools is complete and accurate. You can do that by using the Reports tab, which has a number of tools for districts to use to verify that submitted records have been received and posted by ODE. Review reports before the July 1st collection close date to verify that all files have been submitted and are correct.
Please note the timelines. Note that the data collected from the discipline incidences collection is also used for the report card regarding safe and unsafe school status determinations. The unsafe school choice, persistently dangerous window will be determined in August of 2019. And this is a reminder just of the federal requirements pertaining to persistently dangerous schools and parent notification. ODE is delighted to report that there are no schools in Oregon that rise to this level, but we wanted everyone to be aware of the federal requirements. Right now, we wanted to take a moment to be sure to cover some specific field clarifications to make navigating the collection as smooth as possible.
The violent criminal offense arrest flag. We always have some issues with this every year. Please note that this flag is only for expulsions and specific offense type codes. Please reference the collection manual on specifics for accurate reporting. Also, the district incident code. The system will check to make sure that each incident has its own unique ID code. If there are multiple incidents, multiple students involved with a single incident, that incident ID can be the same. And it will make sure that each student, that a single student cannot have more than one unique district incident ID. And we highly recommend that you use the following template when creating incident ID codes, but it can be any 12 alphanumeric character, as long as it's unique.
What we'd like to do at this time is just go through some common questions and answers to help you navigate the collection with success. So the first question, will I need to enter suspension, expulsion, and removal incidents for students who are not on an IEP? And the answer is yes. The collection and incidence days are required for all students. This question asks when it is appropriate to use the removal to an interim alternative educational setting. Please note that this slide provides an overview of IAES, which is a disciplinary placement that is not the same as the child's current placement as defined in his or her or their IEP. This information is included here for your reference, and additional guidance on this topic is included in the manual itself. What if the student refuses to attend an alternative interim service that is offered? Please note that the district is required to offer this service. Just mark that it was offered and the student is not actually required, like the onus is not on the district for the student to show. The next question is, do I need to enter data reflecting the type of disability or the eligibility of the student? And the answer is yes. If we raise the special education flag and we've marked it, then item 57 must contain a valid disability code. So thank you in advance for entering those codes. Is my submission to the collection complete once I've entered the data? Well, you're close, but please remember that submissions are complete after you enter and submit the data and then click the Verify Submission button. Please remember to click the Verify Submission button when you are finished entering data.
So there have been a couple of changes to the collection coming up. We have removed the primary or the offense type code 3000 for suicide. We've also removed weapon type code 29 for other knife. We've also added a new validation error saying essentially not allowing you to provide an incident date, which is ahead of the discipline date, the action date. So essentially, if little Bobby Tables is disciplined on 5/1, the action occurred, it will actually removed from school on 5/1. The incident date can't occur after that. Also, we've removed some validations for discipline action types and weapon types, as well as discipline type and action, or discipline days and action type.
Another change you'll notice to the collection is updating the definition of expulsion to match all other definitions. So you will see that change in both the manual and wanted to make you aware of that change here today. So what we're going to do at this time is switch gears slightly to now discuss the physical restraint and seclusion collection. The collection is a consolidated collection that opens on the same date as the Discipline Incidences collection, May 23rd, and also closes on the same date, July 1st, 2019. So you'll notice that both collections are open within the same window. There is no validation for this collection, but this function will be added to the collection beginning in 2020. We're pretty excited about those changes. Okay. Required data elements. One of the required reporting data elements includes specific questions pertaining to physical features of seclusion rooms. You'll notice in the collection that there is a text box for the district to indicate that rooms designated solely for seclusion do in fact meet the standards outlined in administrative rule. Here's a link to the standards for seclusion rooms, as public education programs must meet standards for the structural and physical requirements for rooms designated by the school to be used for seclusion solely. The collection will walk the user through the reporting of room attributes by asking for room counts and descriptions. Please note that each entity has the jurisdiction, each entity is required that has the jurisdiction over a public education program must make its annual report about physical restraint and seclusion available locally. And that OAR is cited here for your reference.
So the file format is also available at the district's district site. You can log into it from the link there, and it's unlike the discipline collection. This is just an enter numbers into boxes collection. But so it's numerical and narrative data only, and that's it. There are a few errors and warnings that have been added this year, and then you just need to verify the counts of records.
So we're going to go over a couple common questions and their answers to make navigating the collection an improved experience for users. And the first one is a student who is physically restrained and put in the seclusion during the same time period only counted as one incident? And no, in this situation, the student would be counted and documented as two separate incidences. So one would be an incident of physical restraint, and one would be an incident of seclusion. We're going to count those each separately. The next question is, if a student is physically restrained multiple times within a close time period, is this documented and counted as one incident? And incidents close in time, separated by periods of de-escalation, must be counted individually. The next question asks, if a student is enrolled in several different race or ethnicity categories, are all reported? And what ODE is recommending is it would properly be recorded as a multiracial designation. When making the annual restraint and seclusion report available to the public, what are the responsibilities of the entities that have jurisdiction over a public education program? And here listed for you is where the report must be made available. Knowing that districts must display the report at the entity's main office and on its website, the school board or governing body overseeing the entity, and if the entity is an ESD, the component school districts. If the entity is a public charter school, the sponsor of the public charter school, and parents and guardians of students in public education programs shall be notified or advised at least once each school year about how to access the annual report for the district information. Okay. Now, if you're a small district and you cannot ensure the confidentiality of a student on the report, please know that both FERPA, which requires a district to protect the confidentiality of students, that you still must report each and every incident to ODE. What we will do is hold this in confidence, subject to our suppression rules, and we would recommend that this not be reported at the local level. So districts must amend the collection for publication at the local level to safeguard student confidentiality. The next question asks, when must a district specify corrective actions taken to address the physical restraint or seclusion of a student? So according to administrative rule, the number of students who are placed in physical restraint or seclusion more than 10 times in the course of a school year, that reporting must include an explanation of what steps have been taken by the public education program to decrease the use of physical restraint and seclusion for each student. And you will see fields in the collection to make this reporting. The next question asks, does a description and the location of every room and place used for seclusion need to be reported? And the answer is, the expectation is that we're reporting rooms used solely for seclusion, that we're providing a description and the location for those rooms specifically designated and only used for seclusion per the OAR. So this does not include counting classrooms, offices, or break rooms that perhaps have multiple uses. We also wanted to make folks aware of the technical assistance manual for physical restraint and seclusion, as well as where it can be found on the web. The questions and answers discussed today will also be contained in the manual.
Since we added some new fields to all of our other collections, we figured it'd probably be a good idea to add some to this as well. And so we're adding a non-binary gender total count for physical restraint and for seclusion. And be aware that your total physical restraint student count must be the same as the total of the race ethnicity subgroups added up. And same thing for the gender fields. The counts of each one of those added up must be the total for physical restraint student count, and the same for seclusion. So the bigger change is happening next year. Beginning with the 1920 collection, we're going to split this collection, the physical restraint seclusion collection, into two separate collections. We're going to have an institution level collection that's collecting the seclusion room information, and then we're going to have a student level or incident level collection surrounding physical restraints and seclusion incidents. The seclusion rooms collection is going to have specific questions following the OAR, and you're going to enter in that information from at least the first year, and if no changes are made from year to year, the information is going to stay the same. It's just going to ask you to verify it. And there's going to be a file upload for this. The student level collection, we're going to collect student demographic information. So all of the basic information from all of our other student level collections is going to be the same. We're going to add additional information about the actual incident itself. And then we're going to do audits to ensure that when 10 or more incidents occur, that there's a steps taken added. We're also expanding the steps taken list to include up to 3 steps and a comment field for adding additional information beyond that. And if you have any questions, comments, conjectures, concerns, by all means, list them here or give either myself or Lisa a call or an email.
And do know that we'll be reaching out to you to ensure timely submissions, and we look forward to working with you to make the collection process as smooth as possible. And lastly, we appreciate you. We cannot produce accurate reports without your excellent work, and we thank you.
And we're going to open it up at this point to any questions you might have. We'll stay on the line for a few minutes until we're certain no one's going to talk. So it looks like we got one question at least. Can discipline be reported under district? Can you specify a little bit more than that?
Hi, Debbie. We see your question. We will get back to you via email on district-specific questions, and we appreciate your ask. If you have a district student attending at an ESD and you receive this report, yes, if the district is holding FAPE and is contracted with the ESD, you're welcome to enter that within your district account. So we just got a question that asks, if a student attends in another town, who reports the incidents? Do call us with specific student information so that we can understand some of the background information, especially who owns FAPE in this situation. If the student is a special education student attending in another district, but the district has sent their student there and they own FAPE, that district would report. Any other questions? Sides in our boundary. So if you have special education specific questions, understanding who owns the IEP and who is managing that as the case manager will help us understand where that will be reported. If you have certain student level specific questions, do feel free to reach out to James or myself with any of those questions, and we can help to unpack them with specificity. So at this point, we'd like to thank you for being on the call. We'd like to remind you that we're a resource for you, and do feel free to reach out if you have any student-specific questions or district-level collection questions. We're here for you. We thank you for your time. Have a great afternoon.